Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're diving deep on something that I think will resonate with all of you.
Yeah.
Identity theft.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, we're focusing on what to do if
Right.
it happens to you.
Absolutely.
A timely topic, for sure. And sadly, more common than a lot of people realize. I was absolutely blown away by a stat in this YouTube video we're diving into from Redwan Dahik.
Okay.
Over 10,000 people
Wow.
in the U.S. have their identities stolen daily.
That's why.
10,000.
Every day.
Every day. That's just mind-boggling. We all use social media and shop online and depend on apps. Is it even possible to stay safe these days?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And I think this video really drives home how our digital footprint creates vulnerability.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Every time you enter your info online,
Yeah.
it's potentially exposed.
Oh, yeah.
And then the video gives this chilling example of scammers using numbers like 444
Oh, wow.
to mimic official bank communications.
Right.
And it's so easy to fall for that.
Absolutely. Especially if you're not super vigilant.
Right.
Yeah, it's scary how sophisticated these scams are becoming. Speaking of which, the video actually breaks down the typical steps a thief takes after getting a hold of your identity.
Yeah, and it's not just about draining bank accounts, although that's certainly a part of it.
Sure.
What I find fascinating is how these thieves often exploit the systems we rely on
Right.
for security. Like they'll contact financial institutions,
Yeah.
not just to steal, but to establish a foothold, maybe change your address,
Oh, wow.
to further their scheme.
That is so devious. The video even mentions that they might try to file a false police report.
Yeah.
Why on earth would they do that?
It's a tactic to create chaos and confusion,
Right.
buy themselves time while you're trying to sort out this mess.
Oh, I see.
It also highlights the importance of documentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings us to the crucial question. What should you do if you find yourself a victim of identity theft?
Right.
And the video lays out some very clear steps.
The key is to act fast.
Correct.
So first and foremost, contact the institution where the fraud happened. So your bank, your credit card company, et cetera. They have protocols in place to hopefully investigate and limit the damage.
That makes sense, but what if it's something like your social security number that's compromised?
Great question.
Yeah.
The video specifically recommends contacting the Social Security Administration
Okay.
at 800-772-1213 in that situation.
Got it.
It's essential to get ahead of any misuse of your Social Security number.
Okay. And step 2 is to file a police report, right? Even if the local police don't seem too keen on taking it on.
Exactly.
Okay.
It creates a paper trail
Right.
and can be crucial for dealing with institutions and agencies later on.
Yeah.
Think of it as building your case.
Okay. I like that. And the final step that the video recommends is contacting the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC,
Right.
at 877-438-4338.
They have a wealth of resources for identity theft victims,
Okay.
and they can guide you through the recovery process.
So those are the 3 immediate actions. Contact the affected institution, file a police report, reach out to the FTC.
Yeah.
But the video also had this chilling warning
Oh, yeah.
about additional scams
Uh-huh.
that target people who've already been victimized.
It's a sad reality.
It is.
Criminals often prey on the vulnerable.
Right.
So after experiencing identity theft, be extra cautious about who you give information to.
Yeah.
Even if they claim to be helping,
Right.
always double check and verify their legitimacy.
Oh, man, this is all pretty intense.
It is.
It makes you realize how important it is to understand this stuff, even if we think it'll never happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into more practical tips on protecting ourselves, I think it's worth pausing to really grasp the why.
Okay.
Why should we care so much about identity theft? What's really at stake here?
That's an excellent point. We've touched on the immediate financial fallout,
Right.
but the long-term consequences can be even more
Sure.
devastating. A damaged credit score can haunt you for years, making it difficult to get loans, rent an apartment, even secure certain jobs.
It's like a domino effect,
That's
impacting your life in ways you might not initially imagine.
Precisely. And that brings us to a very practical question.
Okay.
Have you ever checked your credit report?
Um.
It's a simple action, but it can give you valuable insights into your financial health and help you spot any red flags early on.
You know what? I'm a little embarrassed to admit I haven't checked mine in.
Really?
Well, let's just say it's been a while.
Oh, wow.
But after learning all of this, it's definitely moving to the top of my to-do list.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And it's a good habit to develop for everyone,
Right.
not just after a potential incident.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on to proactive steps for protecting ourselves,
Yes.
are there any other warning signs people should be aware of? What are the more subtle clues that something might be amiss?
Great question. It's like being a detective in your own financial life.
Right.
And one of the most obvious clues is unauthorized charges
Yeah.
popping up on your bank or credit card statements.
Okay, that one seems pretty straightforward.
Right.
But what about something a little more subtle?
Okay.
Something that might slip under the radar.
Keep an eye out for bills
Okay.
or statements
Oh.
for accounts you don't recognize.
Okay.
So it could be a credit card you never applied for,
Mm-hmm.
a utility bill for an address you've never lived at,
Yeah.
anything out of the ordinary.
That's a good point. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
So those pre-approved credit card offers could be a red flag too, right?
Absolutely.
If you suddenly start receiving a ton of them, it might mean someone is trying to open accounts in your name.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
That's a great example of a less obvious sign.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of paying attention to your physical mailbox,
Right.
not just your online accounts.
Yeah.
If bills or statements start going missing,
Mm-hmm.
it could be a sign that someone has changed your billing address without your knowledge.
Oh, wow. That's unsettling. It's amazing how many different ways they can try to infiltrate your life.
Right.
What about debt collectors?
Sure.
Could that be a sign of identity theft?
Absolutely. If you start getting calls
Yeah.
or notices from debt collectors about debts that you know aren't yours,
Mm-hmm.
that's a major red flag.
Okay.
It could mean someone has used your information to open accounts and rack up charges
Right.
in your name.
This is all making me realize how important it is to stay organized and really know what accounts you have open.
Yeah.
It feels overwhelming to keep track of everything these days.
It's definitely a challenge
Yeah.
in today's digital world,
Mm.
but it's crucial for protecting yourself.
Right.
And speaking of keeping track,
Yeah.
regularly checking your credit report is one of the most powerful tools you have.
Mm.
It allows you to see all the accounts linked to your name,
Okay.
any inquiries made,
Yeah.
and your overall credit history.
You mentioned that in the last segment. And I have to admit, I'm a little intimidated by the whole credit report thing.
Really?
It feels very financial
Yeah.
and official.
I understand that feeling, but it's not as complicated as it might seem.
Okay.
There are reputable websites and agencies that make it easy to access
Mm-hmm.
and understand your credit report.
Okay.
And once you get the hang of it, it's a pretty straightforward process.
So what exactly should we be looking for
Sure.
when we check our credit reports?
Any new accounts or inquiries that you don't recognize,
Okay.
sudden changes in your credit score,
Mm-hmm.
addresses or personal information that are incorrect,
Got it.
these could all be signs that something fishy is going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm starting to see how all of this fits together. It's like putting together a puzzle,
Uh-huh.
looking for those pieces that don't quite fit,
Right.
those clues
Right.
that something isn't right.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And remember, if you do notice anything suspicious, don't hesitate to contact the relevant institutions and
Okay.
authorities. It's always better to err on the side of caution.
Okay.
Early detection can make all the difference
Yeah.
in minimizing the damage from identity theft.
So we've talked about what to do if it happens
Right.
and how to spot those early warning signs.
Yep.
But is there anything we can do to prevent it from happening in the first place?
That's the ultimate question,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's one we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive.
Right.
How do we protect ourselves in an age where our data is increasingly vulnerable?
That's what's so unsettling about this whole topic. It feels like our information is everywhere.
It is.
Can we even begin to secure it all?
It's definitely a complex issue,
Yeah.
but there are absolutely steps we can take to minimize our risk.
Okay.
It's not just about being careful, it's about being proactive and taking concrete steps to safeguard your information.
I'm all ears.
Great.
What can we do to build those digital defenses?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into identity theft. We've covered the damage it can cause, how to spot those early warning signs, and what to do if it actually happens to you.
Right.
But now let's get proactive.
Okay.
What practical steps can we take to protect ourselves in this digital age? It feels like a constant arms race
This.
against these tech-savvy themes.
It's a great point, and it does feel like a battle sometimes.
It does.
But remember, we're not powerless.
Okay.
One of the most fundamental things you can do is strengthen your passwords.
Yeah,
I know we've all heard it before, but it's worth repeating.
it is.
Use strong, unique passwords for each of your online accounts.
Okay, that makes sense, but I have to admit I struggle with remembering a million different passwords.
Yeah.
It's so tempting to just use the same one everywhere, but I know that's a terrible idea.
It is.
Is there a way to manage this without losing my mind?
I understand the struggle, And that's where a password manager comes in.
Okay.
It's like a digital vault
Okay.
that securely stores all your passwords
Mm-hmm.
and generates strong, unique ones for
Yeah.
you. You only need to remember one master password to access the vault.
Ah, so that's what those are for. I've seen them advertised, but never really understood the point.
Hmm.
That sounds like a game changer. What else can we do to up our digital security game?
Another crucial step is enabling two-factor authentication
Okay.
whenever possible.
Yeah,
You mentioned it earlier.
I did.
It's that extra layer of security where they send you a code
Right.
to your phone or email
Yep.
to confirm your identity.
So even if someone gets hold of your password, they can't actually get into your account without that second step. It seems like a no-brainer, but I'm curious, are there any downsides to two-factor authentication?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
While two-factor authentication significantly enhances security, there can be drawbacks.
Okay.
For instance, if you lose access to your phone or your secondary email, it can lock you out of your own accounts.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it's crucial to have backup methods and recovery options in place.
Good point. It's like having a super secure lock on your door, but then losing the only key. Okay, so strong passwords, two-factor authentication. Got it. What other digital defenses should we be building?
Be mindful of the information you share online.
Okay.
Think twice before posting sensitive personal details like your address, your phone number, or your birth date
Yeah.
on social media platforms.
Right.
It might seem harmless, but that data can be pieced together by identity thieves
Oh, yeah.
to build a profile of you.
Right. Like the video said, all that seemingly innocuous information is a gold mine for these criminals. It's a reminder that we need to be more conscious of our digital footprint.
Exactly. And speaking of being mindful, let's talk about phishing scams.
Okay.
These are emails or messages
Yeah.
designed to trick you into revealing personal information like your passwords or your credit card details.
Oh, yeah. Those are the ones that try to look like they're from your bank or a legitimate company.
Right.
They can be so convincing.
They are.
What's the best way to spot them?
Always double-check the sender's address.
Okay.
Hover over any links before clicking on them. Legitimate organizations will never ask for sensitive information via email.
Right.
And if something feels off, trust your gut.
Okay.
It's better to be overly cautious than to fall victim to a scam.
Good advice. So be mindful of what we share online. Watch out for phishing scams. What about public Wi-Fi? I love the convenience of working from coffee shops and airports.
Sure.
But is it safe?
Public Wi-Fi networks can be risky.
Okay.
They're often not secure,
Yeah.
and your data could be intercepted by hackers.
Right.
If you must use public Wi-Fi, consider using a virtual private network or a VPN.
Ah, VPN. Another one of those tech terms I've heard but never fully understood.
Yeah.
What exactly does a VPN do?
It encrypts your internet connection,
Okay.
creating a secure tunnel for your data.
Right.
Think of it as a digital bodyguard for your online activity, shielding it from prying eyes.
I love that analogy. So, strong passwords, two-factor authentication, being cautious about what we share online, watching out for phishing scams, and being wary of public Wi-Fi. That's quite a list, but it feels empowering to know there are things we can do to protect ourselves.
Exactly. And even implementing just a few of these measures can significantly reduce your risk of becoming a victim.
Okay.
It's like building a digital fortress around your personal information.
This deep dive has been such an eye-opener. It's made me realize how vulnerable we all are in this digital age, but also how much we can do to take control of our online security. It's like that saying, knowledge is power.
I couldn't agree more. And that brings us back to that thought-provoking question we posed earlier.
Yeah.
In an age where our data is everywhere, is it even possible to fully protect ourselves from identity theft?
It's a tough one. It feels like a constant cat and mouse game with the bad guys always coming up with new tricks.
That's true. But by staying informed, adopting good security practices, and remaining vigilant, we can make ourselves much less appealing targets. It's about minimizing risk, not eliminating it entirely.
Well said. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot more empowered after this deep dive. I'm definitely going to be putting these tips into practice.
Me too. And to our listeners out there, remember, protecting your identity is an ongoing process. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and take those proactive steps to safeguard your personal information.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of identity theft. We hope you learned something new and feel equipped to navigate the digital world safely and securely. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.